my father has challenged Mwai to produce Norman, dead or alive, because he's gone missing. So I drove to Nairobi, to Embu, our home, and when I got there, I found many people that were in prayers, because for sure they knew Norman was dead. Absolutely. And you can imagine the joy that they went through.
The dead walks in.
The dead walks in.
History has a strange
And that's
way
why
of repeating
the
itself,
dead walks in is going to bury most of you. But anyway, let me end up by saying the following.
However, having the opportunity of having you at this podcast, siwezi enda bila kuuliza one of the questions that I have always wanted to ask mheshimiwa. Actually, I don't know, it's a coincidence, it's a timing, ama ni maombi ya nganga. We're in this type of
Combination.
Kwa hii mambo ya abductions, and it's a trending topic in the country. I don't want you to give your political view about it. It's just relatable to something I read about you. There's a time that you are an abductee or a wanted person by the government of the day.
Where did you get that from?
I hear even someone was released from maximum prison to look for you.
Yes, JY.
Tell us. Let me be like Jeff Koinange.
You know, very interesting. You've taken me back to many, many years ago. That was in the year 1992.
92, I was 1 year
1992.
How old?
1 year.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. I wasn't a very old man then either.
Okay.
That's when I was aspiring to become member of parliament for where we are in Embu. And the president had tried me many a times to try and join Chama cha Mama na Baba. Now, Chama cha Mama na Baba, as you know, was KANU.
Gen Z's, KANU.
Absolutely.
I have no idea.
Yes, and he was promising that if I joined KANU, he would appoint me a minister, because my father had been a cabinet minister, my brother Joe had been a minister, and therefore I was going to follow the same line. But he forgot to understand my thinking. My thinking was, having come from a very privileged family, I had a different view as to how people should be treated. And I had seen it in many ways. I represented the biggest pharmaceutical company in the world called Mark, Sharp and Dome. And I represented that country alone in this region. I also then brought in a company that deals in livestock. What is it called? This new one. Norbrook. Yes. Armed with a letter from Mark Sharp and Dome, the biggest pharmaceutical company in the world at the time, before Mark Sharp and before Smith Clement Beecham even ever got together. I went to the Prime Minister of Ireland, and his brother was a minister for agriculture. They were called the Hugh family. And I said, look, I have come from Kenya to try and negotiate for me to represent you in my region. And they looked at me and they thought I was a very young boy, and they weren't very sure. I said, well, let me hasten to add that I represent the biggest pharmaceutical company in the world, and I produced my certification. I came out with my agency. If you go here, I have a cattle dip. I only use one product, Norbrook, and it gives to me a subsidized price for having brought them into Kenya. But let me, now, as I was doing that, and I was fighting the Moi government, even before I went into parliament, and I was in the pharmaceutical industry, I got to a point where they wouldn't approve foreign currency for me to import drugs. They would not give me licenses. Even when my father became Minister for Health, I never went to him once to tell him your ministry staff is not approving my request for certificate because I wanted to feel what the ordinary Kenyan feels. And you know, my father was there
due
for some
process.
time. So all that time, I never went to him. He left the ministry. By this time, I had grown such thick skin, I knew Kenyans were in trouble under this man's leadership. So anyway, I used to love to call Mwai names, all sorts of names. I was, you know, when I was young and handsome, I was very naughty in the mouth. Yes, yes, it was. So anyway, because of those insults that I used to do to Mwai, Mwai would call my father and say, Jerry, and you know they are very good friends. Jerry, why don't you talk to your son? Then he said, look, I have realized fathers can't talk to their sons. Who is more known to Eunice, my mother? So they sent a man called PC Wananabwa, was PC post-province. She came to my mother and said, look, Jeremiah Nyaga and you are in the Kanu. Me and my son, we are together. So your mother was on your side? Oh, my mother was on my side. It is when Moi released a man called JY from the lineages. JY had done criminology in Rwanda. He had come to Embu, found his brother with a vehicle KJY. He killed me by chopping him into pieces.
Yes.
He also killed his father by chopping and putting him in a gunia and putting him in a river. Then he went in and he came out.
Wait a minute. Going in, tell the people
In prison. Yes, he was jailed in prison
for life, I believe.
and somehow he managed to get out. He was released and he came out of prison again. He killed his other brother.
Wow.
He went in and he came out of prison. Now, he was sent to me, come and kill him. She was sitting in a meeting in Runyenjes, and I was about to go to the podium in Runyenjes. I remember this is the day there was a lot of fracas there, but some woman broke her leg and took her to the hospital later. And she died a couple of months ago, that particular woman, a few months ago. So don't go to the podium. You see that man over there, he's armed, he's going to shoot you. How do you know about it? Because we spent a lot of time. I had been asked to lure you to this, come this meeting, I will shoot you. I got into my vehicle and I drove straight into some little tiny house of a friend of mine who I moved out and I gave him my Tigoni house to go and stay there. And I stayed in a one-roomed house. Only one human being knew where I was. John Mutava Musiemi's brother. The one who bring me food, his younger brother. Bring food to me. Nobody was. Until I got to a point, after being there for nearly 3 weeks, I couldn't stand it anymore. I said, I shall present myself to the police. And I went to opposite the EACC.
The integrity.
And you know, there's the police force next door there.
Yeah, Milimani.
And I went with Milimani. And so what were the headlines written? Norman Nyaga-a appeared. So the next day we were going with Kibaki to Lamu. So I get to the office, I'm ready to go. He says, Norman, have you seen the Standard? No. It's a headline. Please, go to your parent.
Is at the same time that you and the old man had gone to where I told you, look, I want to see my son.
No, by this time, Moi has my father has challenged how to reduce Norman. Dead or alive, because he's gone missing. So I drove to Nairobi, to Embu, our home. And when I got there, I found many people that were in prayers. Because for sure, they knew Norman was dead. And you can imagine the joy that they went through.
The dead walks in.
And that's why this the dead walks in this body, most of you. But anyway, let me end up by saying the following. JY finally came to confess at home. His instructions were kill Norman. If you don't get a chance of killing Norman, kill his father. But he said to my father and I, we got tired of it. I got had it. I'm not right. But I'll tell you how it ended up. His brother finally ends up in a hospital in Runyenjes. The fellow took food to him, this man called JY, and it was poison to the president.
This is many years later, a member of parliament, I'm actually going from the Punjis. He killed his brother. So the mother and the brother went to his house and they chopped him into pieces. Wow. They carried the machetes to Runyenje's police station and said, we have killed a dog. Please come and collect this dog from the house. When they came,
He had come to Embu, found his brother with a vehicle KJY. He killed him by chopping him into pieces.
Yes.
He also killed his father by chopping and putting him in a gunia and putting him in a river. Then he went in and he came out. So
Wait
what
a
did
minute, going in, tell the people.
In prison.
Yes,
He was jailed in prison.
for life, I believe.
And somehow he managed to get out.
he was released.
He was released and he came out of prison again. He killed his other brother. He went in and he came out of prison. Now, he was sent to me to come and kill me. So we were sitting in a meeting in Runyenjes, and I was about to go to the podium in Runyenjes. I remember this is the day there was a lot of fracas there. In fact, some woman broke her leg. I took her to the hospital later. And she died a couple of months ago, that particular woman, a few months ago. So don't go to the podium. You see that man over there, he's armed, he's going to shoot you. How do you know about it? It's because we spent a lot of time. I had been asked to lure you to go to this, come to this meeting, and you shoot you. I got into my vehicle and I drove straight into some little tiny house of a friend of mine who I moved out, and I gave him my Tigoni house to go and stay there. And I stayed in a one-roomed house. Only one human being knew where I was, John Mutaba Musiemi's brother. He's the one who bring me food, his younger brother. You bring food to me, and nobody was. Until I got to a point, after being there for nearly 3 weeks, I couldn't stand it anymore. I said, I shall present myself to the police. And I went to opposite the EACC.
The integrity.
And you know, there's the police also next door there.
Yeah, the
And I went with Milimani. So what were the headlines written? Norman Nyaga-a appears.
resurfaces.
Resurfaces.
Yes.
So the next day we were going with Kibaki to Lamu. So I get to the office, I'm ready to go. He says, Norman, have you seen the Standard? No. These are headlines. But please, go see your parents.
Is that the same time that your old man had gone to Mwai and told him, look, I want to see my son?
No, by this time, my father has challenged Mwai to produce Norman, dead or alive, because he's gone missing. So I drove to Nairobi, to Embu, our home, and when I got there, I found many people that were in prayers, because for sure, they knew Norman was dead. Absolutely. And you can imagine the joy that they went through.
The dead walks in.
The dead walks in.
History has a strange
And that's
way of
why
repeating
the
itself,
dead walks in is going to bury most of you. But anyway, let me end up by saying the following. JY finally came to confess at home. His instructions were kill Norman. If you don't get a chance of killing Norman, kill his father. But he said to my father and I got tired of killing. I will not do it. But I'll tell you how he ended up. His brother finally ends up in a hospital in Runyenjes. The fellow took food to him, this man called JY, and it was poisoned food. The brother died. This is many years later, a member of parliament, I'm actually now in Kamukonji. He killed his brother. So the mother and the brother went to his house and they chopped him into pieces. Wow. They carried the machetes to Runyenje's police station and said, we have killed a dog. Please come and collect this dog from the house. When they came, it was JY.
Sounds like a horror
Then
movie.
they said, we do not want him buried in our homestead. Let him be buried in a communal home. That is where, when you play with me, that is what happens to you.
I told you we did a whole day with Norman, man. Last but not
Last,
least,
but I'll say the last one. Because
you have to give me the story of you and your brother, how you decided to run against each other. You know, it's a man.
Democracy, man. Democracy.
wow, very good. Thank you.
Democracy started here.
I have no issues with it because it was dividing my family in a very big way.
Yeah.
My father would write letters to Joe and I, and I would, he was very meticulous. The time when he begins writing these letters and the time he ends. And I would feel very sorry for him. It was also dividing our own family members, uncles, aunties, cousins, on the basis of who is going to support Joe, who is going to support Norman.
Yeah.
And we fought for a whole year. Now, fortunately, I was involved in IPPG. I was in the legal committee. And I was given the task to go and explain what this new law meant on IPPG, where the chiefs had been, their powers in Cap 210 had been completely removed and only left to look after barriers. I was given 2 areas to go and explain to the people of Coast. So I flew to Coast Province and I explained to them what IPPG packaging law meant. The next one was Central Province, where I went to explain to the people of Central Province what it was all about IPPG. Kiraito and Kitui were given different provinces to go and explain. I don't remember who was given the others, but I was given those 2. And when I was in Nyeri, I'd come from Nairobi, something spoke to me and said, why should 2 brothers be fighting over a seat? We've been fighting over a year. For me, because I call names. Joe is a diplomat. He would never call me names. But for me, I can't even open the things that I would say in the stadium. So I decided, no, I was going to go home and see my mother. And I made a decision between Nyeri and Embu that I was not going to stand in Kachoka. Yet I had been nominated by the Democratic Party to be the candidate here.
Were you the current MP at that time?
I was the current MP, yes.
What made Joe decide to run?
I'll now come to that. So I went and told my mother, I've made a decision. I'm not going to stand in here, in Kachoka constituency. I will stand in Nairobi. And she
How
said,
many months to the election?
24 days to the election.
You are insane.
Yeah.
Tanganga's prayer.
Yes. I'm a very prayerful fellow.
Yeah.
Extremely prayerful.
From
Yes.
Ushago to Nairobi.
Absolutely.
24 days.
Absolutely. Yes. So anyway, my mother, was in tears and just prayed. We couldn't get my father. My father, in the meantime, was listening to grievances within the nominations of KANU in the KICC. And his telephone at home in Nairobi was not working. So anyway, I called the president, I called Chairman Kibaki, and I said, get hold of all the leadership. And I was the deputy secretary general of the party. And I used to sit in the headquarters all along. In fact, I used to share the same office with Kibaki. So I knew my way out, which area I was going to stand. So Kibaki called people. The very next day, Saturday, we sat in the meeting and discussed my issue. I said, how do I get this seat here? One, I attacked them. I have been involved in making the manifesto, the constitution of the party. I have made tremendous contribution to the Democratic Party. My membership was 1 digit, and I had gone there with 1 Range Rover in 1992 and 2 Mercedes 280s. And by this time they had dilapidated, which means Bwana Karume, Johnny Keane, Kibaki have spent more money than you have in comparison to what you guys have and what I have. Yeah. So now the debate began. And Kibaki finally said, because people are asking, but you are nominated in Gachoka. What happens if you come to Nairobi? So Kibaki says, gentlemen, a political party that cannot make a decision is not worth being a political party. Wow. Give the fella his nomination. That's how I got my nomination. 2 days later, a few people, Akina Minor Commander, the team organizer, will not present my papers to the returning officer. But
You're interested
little
in
did they know, mimi ni mwanasiasa wa miaka na miaka. So I called 2 of my friends, I gave them my documentation, they went present. When they presented, when the names were being announced, I appeared there in my motorcade outside my vehicle, saluting. So the rest was history. So basically what happened was, Joe had his, it's clearly stated in the Mustard Seed, the book that we wrote, the biography of my father. If you haven't read that, please read it. See who Norman Nyaga was and what he stood for, what he was. And I am also aware of the fact that part of the reason the Nyagas have been fought for a very long time here, and it's human nature. My father was member of parliament for 35 years. I was member of parliament for 15 years. Joe was member of parliament for 15 years. That total, nobody, no other family, we are followed by the rider that has that. And if you look at the Kenyan records, it will tell you it is Jeremiah Nyaga, riders, Mois, and it goes down. And to get people serving that period, it's going to be very difficult. But it comes with its own issues. There will be people who will fight you when you think you're the only ones who are born by women. So that is part of the reason sometimes we get into trouble. But if you ask, our hearts,
Very pure.
ni pure, ni nyeupe kama pamba. That's right. So anyway, Joe made a mistake. Moi had come to sleep in Embu to campaign. And he accompanied my father to the PC's office. And when I was there, he told Moi, Mr. President, I have my premises, Air East Africa building, cargo. He was collecting luggage, parcels from
It was a hub.
this region, and the hub was Nairobi, and he was taking it by Lufthansa. So that's what Joe was doing, having been MD, Kenya Airways, President, IATA. So he understood that line. So he said, one of your men, no names, but in the book we have mentioned,
Yes,
has taken over my building. So Moi said, okay, I'll look into it. So they are there, Katanangala, Kaloeo, PC, Jeremiah Nyaga, several leaders were sitting there, Kina Nyenze, and Hosea Kiplagat. Then he was told, Jerry, I want you to talk to Norman. Jerry is my father. I want to go talk to Norman. I want him to come to Kanu. I let him defect so that we can make him a minister like you and your son. So Joe was very happy because if I did that, Joe certainly was going to have his things done. So anyway, in the meantime, I'm having my drink at the Isaac Wharton Inn with the State House Controller and Linjiro. Yes, when all this thing is going. Yes, I have a book with me. I've read an interesting book. I have a lot of respect for Lee. So anyway, I get home. It's late. I'm sat down in the sitting room. They give me the story. And I listen to the story. And I say the following. Dad, who gave you authority to go and discuss matters to do with Norman? With the president. I am your member of parliament. Joe, who gave you authority to go discuss with Moi when you're not even a politician? You've never stood. But let me remind you, Joe, Moi went to the public. He got elected. I went to the public. I got elected. Ni bahati kidogo tu amekuwa president. Hata mimi siku moja nitakuwa president. Sikujua shida ya kuwa president. So the next morning, they go to report what Norman said. Give a report. My father said, how do I walk into that building, ya PC, and discuss my son with the president? He decided to have chai with the commoners in the gardens. But Joe walked inside. He walked into a trap. Moi was he was having a meeting in Chuka, and the last one was going to be here. So he walks in there. Yes, Joe, tell us about Norman, as he agreed. So he went on and said, Mr. President, that fellow doesn't listen to anybody. He doesn't even listen to his mother. His head is big-headed. You know him. He said, okay, Job, stop at that point. I don't want Norman anymore. I want you to oppose him. And then I'll release the building to you.
Wow.
And I'll do the following.
Wow.
I'll give you money. Come to me, I'll give you money. I'll give you vehicles. Come to me, and I'll go to the churu of Kenya Power. Both of us will fund you to fight your brother. So we fought here for a whole year. Na unajua tukichoma magari ya KANU huko. Anyway, so all that, the rest is history. So we,
Now I understand.
and that's how, then I went to Kamukunji, I got elected. Joe stood here, he got elected, and we embraced each other. We became very good friends.
And you became the chief whip.
I was his prefect.
Yes, you could
I
tell
was
him
his
to shut
prefect.
up.
And I like to announce this because many Kenyans don't know.
Yeah.
I was the second highest guarded Kenyan after the president. The next person was the vice president. And the third person was the Minister for Internal Security. I also want to say the following. There is no minister that left this country without authorization by the president through Mudaura.
Oh,
Very good.
That's amazing, right?
gentlemen.
But now I'm an ordinary person. Coming. You must learn to be big and kushuka chini uwe mwananchi wa kawaida wa hali ya chini kama mimi. Very good.
That's amazing.
History at its best.
Thank you so much, guys, for sharing your thoughts. And I believe this is inspiration to someone there.
It should be.
I think Gilbert, we have a responsibility. This man hawezi kaa na hii sidomu yote hivi na
Akisha taa pale.
hatuna mahali ya kuipeleka, so we shall plan, mheshimiwa. We have your story. We document it. Let the generations to come understand where we come as we've come from as a country. We do appreciate you so much, and even for hosting us. Mwafrica, as usual, you are my guy. Kuna story
Kuna story tujaongea hii. Hii kitu lazima iwe part 1, part 2 na part 3 baba.
We must come back and talk about men working abroad and foreign areas na nini.
Yeah, those are challenges we need to face.
Daktari, asante sana man. Najua bado wewe ni mwalimu, wewe ni president, all those combined.
Amen.
I am looking forward to you.
Ingekuwa ni siku zile watu walikuwa wanavaa madebe hapa, my friend, angekuwa anatembea. Angekuwa anatembea sidewalk.
Man, it's enjoyable. I can't wait
Thank
even
you.
to watch this episode because mume ni bamba. Nikupe shenge ingine ya mwisho.
Nisikia nashukuru.
Sema mukuchu.
Mukuchu. Mukuchu.
Mukuchu sasa ni pesa. When we get mukuchu, tutapiga documentary yako.
Wow. Nitauza matunda yangu nipate mukuchu tuifanye.
Hiyo hata mimi nilikuwa sijui. Mukuchu hiyo nilikuwa sijui.
Anataka
Mukuchu.
Na niseme hivi ili iwekwe somewhere. When this fellow called Gilbert rides around the 300 kilometers around Mount Kenya, I'll do 3, 4, 5 kilometers with him on condition you lend me one of your bicycles. I'll ride from Meru going down. Ikipanda kwa mulima, mimi nishuke nirudi. Asante. Thank you.
That's still
Sasa,
75 year old will do some kilometers. Sisi tutakuwa kwa kamera pole. Karibu nijichoche.
Na watu waje medical bana. Watu wakuje bana. Kujeni tu, hatutawatia vidole lakini kujeni.
I think we can just have a minute now to extend a parting shot your last words, daktari. Najua pia wewe tutakuwa na more time with you to discuss more issues, especially mental health among men. Yeah, you are parting shot kindly.
Yeah, for me, let me say this is an awesome initiative you're doing.
Thank you.
And we appreciate for the chance to be here to voice our thoughts. And what I'll say is that on 4th, kindly come out, tell a friend to tell a friend. Let's do this amazing thing of spreading the word of medical camp. And let's support Gilbert in his initiative. Sindio, you know what you can do. Either through, I don't know what you're doing in terms of fundraising, but we are there to support you. And he's a Rotarian, so I'm proud of him as his president. And thank you very much for hosting us, Mteeve.
Karibu sana. Yes, the African man.
Me, I think I'll go in another different direction. We're in very difficult times. And more so not for us. Sisi unajua, we are on our way out as a senior generation. Mnatuita millennials. Ni millennials ama okay sasa bana tujui bana I retracted that. But I just want to say to the young generation not to lose hope, okay? Because they deserve what this country is all about. These guys fought for the second liberation of this country. We should not be fighting for a third liberation.
Yes.
And everything our forefathers fought for, we deserve them. It is not a right for them. It's not a privilege for them. It is a right. And therefore, they should not give up. They should not give up and know anything that people say comes to be. The resistance will be there. It will be there definitely. But believe me, it will come to be. Freedom will come.
Amazing.
Mine will be very, very short, parting short. One, I appeal to all people, men, women, and more so men, to go for medical checkups. We know the economic hardships. However, having said so, those who are able to afford to go into a bar, please spare that money, go and have yourself checked, because it has to do with you, your body, your life, your family. The last one is, I shall offer my pickup to carry anybody in Embu with a bicycle willing to be transported to Meru, so that you can keep me company, keep Gilbert company, and ride together. If you're able to do 1 kilometer, well and good. If you're able to catch up with me and do 5 kilometers, Bwana sifiwe. But whether you have those specialized bicycles these guys will be riding, me, I will take an ordinary bicycle ya mzee.
Black Mamba.
Oh my goodness. Wow. It's a very good point to end this episode. It's been brilliant, enjoyable, na nimefurahi sana. Don't forget to follow us on social media, the MCA Podcast, on all our socials. Tupatane pale YouTube, tupatane Facebook, TikTok, tupatane Instagram. We shall keep the conversation going, and as we have said, tupatane 4th of February. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Asante sana. Asante.
MCA. Until next time, let the man talk.